So learning about the money archetypes, and for me, my money archetype is my top one, and we're a combination of typically three.
Okay.
But mine is what's called the connector, and the connector is they're the relationship creator, they're the counselor, they're the cheerleader, they're the problem solver, and they are always there to help other people. And when they meet people, that person becomes their new best friend. And so then they're like, oh, you don't have to pay me. And we would just prefer to put our head in the sand when it comes to money. And
Yep.
when I heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, that is absolutely me in a nutshell. And then
Wow.
when I looked at my other of the top three, I
Yep.
really resonated with all of them. And one of the traits of the connector is that they tend to be a chameleon. So they tend to connect with a lot of the other archetypes. So most of my
Interesting.
people, when they take the quiz, they will find that they'll have their scores be very close together if
Gotcha.
connector is one of their top ones. And so I started diving into this and realizing, yeah, like I do have a really complex relationship with money because I do wish that it wouldn't exist. And
Yes.
for me, and this is true for connectors, is that abundance isn't about having a ton of money in our bank accounts. Like we feel abundant when we're helping people transform their world, when we're making an impact on people's lives. And I realized that's what I need to do because in all the coaching programs that I'm in, everything was focused on numbers, numbers, numbers.
Hmm.
And as soon as somebody says, how much money do you want to make? It's like,
Shut
it's
down.
like a, yes, complete shutdown. And I realize when I talk about how many lives do I want to impact, that gets me super excited.
Yeah.
And so learning the archetypes helped me to see that I am great at creating relationships, which means that I can create a great relationship with money.
Yes.
And it's just going to take some effort on my end to do that. And so
And it's
I've been,
and sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt. And it's
Yeah.
almost like there was something you said there. It's almost like too if you have connector. I loved how like learning your type and in particular maybe with that type and its qualities, it's almost like yes, the abundance will come, but almost when you not focus it from a head-on money way, right? Like the
Yes.
outcome can still be abundance in all areas, including money, but it sounds like it felt foreign and just not a good fit to come at it though from a direct money, money, money goal or a money outcome. It needed to be tied to something greater. Is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. For me,
So interesting.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And each of the archetypes has a different mantra or like contract is what Kendall calls it.
Okay.
I call it their money code. And for the connector, it's the more comfortable I get with money, the more I empower myself. And
Mm,
I know the more that I'm empowered, the more that I can empower other people. And
yes.
so it really started me on this journey of I can heal this relationship instead of I'm never going to understand stocks and all of these things that I would say a lot of the financial world talks about, like whether it's Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or those kind of things. Like I
Yes.
could never listen to them because
Mm-mm.
it was all here's how to do it. And it never talked about it so much as a relationship.
And I think that speaks to Heather. I mean, I too, from what you've shared with me and when I was on your podcast, and therefore I took the test too, then
Mhm.
yeah, I just love the feminine approach of the sacred money archetypes. And yet to me, there's still masculine components. Like it's not so flowy. Like there's organization to it. You figure out what you are. So I like that. And personally, I just think a lot of the current financial education programs, many of them feel more masculine and they
Mhm.
feel more like the how and the logic. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes they're also coming from, it feels like an individual who's more masculine, where it's like, well, this approach worked for me. It should work for all of you, 100,000 people. And if it doesn't, there must be something wrong with you, is I think how it can come off. And
Yes.
so everything you've shared so far just feels like it'd be a really good fit for someone if you're listening and you're just wanting to go deeper with your money relationship. But, if you're listening and it's just like if the masculine approaches haven't worked for you, if you feel like you've just been hitting your head on a wall, not, getting the
Mhm.
information, it just seems like leaning into this approach might be a really good fit.
I agree 1,000% because each archetype has their own way of being empowered with money or being disempowered with money.
Mhm.
And it shows up in everything. One of the things that Kendall Summerhawk says is how we do money is how we do everything. And so if you have a business, how you show up in your marketing, how you show up in your branding, how you show up in you searching for your what I call soulmate clients, all of those things are shown in your money archetype. And
Yeah.
in the course that I teach, where we talk about like, here are the ways that you sabotage yourself, like in marketing, or that you sabotage yourself in branding or finding your ideal client. All of these things show up in so many ways. And
Yes.
when we can see it from that perspective and say, oh, okay, this is my pattern, because all it is a pattern.
Yep.
And we can shift and change those. And every strength carried to an extreme is a weakness, right? My
Mhm.
strength of creating relationships is it's a weakness when I don't let it be, hey, there is a money exchange for this. Like
Yeah.
I go to one of my girlfriends to get eyelash extensions. And every week, well, 2 weeks, she does my eyelashes. And then she's like, you want me to run the card on file? I said, yes. And I signed the thing for the tip. And I never think anything of it. Of course, I'm going to pay her for her services.
Yes.
I know for me as a connector, I'd be like, no, it's okay. And I realize that this is something that I do. And now the more aware of it that I've become, less I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, you want me to do that? Here, I can send you the link so that you can pay for that.
Yes.
And not get so wrapped up in it anymore, because I realize, okay, that's when I'm in my disempowered state. And I've had to do a lot of healing in my own personal world to get
Yes.
to that point.